see, we are now approaching College Roundabout. Traffic is very heavy. So the traffic in the right-hand lane, which isn't moving, is looking to turn right. We're going to go straight ahead, and as you can see from the green sign, that is ahead only. So this approach is a protected left-hand lane. So it has a solid continuous white line. So in theory, traffic from the right should not cross into that lane. But that's the theory, and on a busy day like today, when visibility is limited, you want to approach that really cautiously. There are no give-way lines, as you can see, so it's quite acceptable to flow straight on, but we're actively checking to the right and approaching this very cautiously before exiting into lane 1. So in terms of our approach sequencing, as we've said, we've already positioned very early, so we've done the positioning phase part and got ourselves into the right-hand lane. Given the traffic conditions we're in and the speed at which we're going to actually reach the roundabout, there's no point in putting a signal on at this stage. It's only going to irritate us with it clicking away. But clearly when we do get to a sensible, maybe 3 car lengths back from the junction at this sort of speed, we will put a right-hand signal on to make it clear what our intentions are. So as we start to approach it, we're getting a better view, and I hope the camera will pick up on this, on the protected lane to our left. So as it says there, A36 west only, and the arrow, and then just beyond that, just as you can see, just at the roundabout itself, the the centre lines, or the hazard lines as they've now become, changed to solid continuous lines. And there are actually 2 continuous solid lines with a hatched area in between them. And the intention of that is obviously to increase the separation gap between cars, but we mustn't cross a solid white line. As it is in any situation, you don't cross a solid white line. So if you notice where that truck is just going now, you'll notice in the left-hand lane there are no give-way lines. Okay, we're now focusing on our route, which is right. So right mirror, right signal. We do have give-way lines here, so we absolutely must give way, as the blue car is doing. Just to be clear, so our lane does have give-way. We can now flow on, take to the centre disc as we would normally. But keep that right-hand signal on at this point. So there is the exit if we have been exiting straight ahead from this lane. We will exit into lane 2, but we're not, we're turning right. So the other thing to start noticing is, whilst it is very hard to see with the traffic and the faded paintwork, just changing my signal to a left-hand signal now, there is a yellow box junction, which we must not enter unless our exit route is clear, which it now is, so we can move our vehicle forward. And in heavy traffic, it's a fine balancing act, but we can keep our car moving forward, remanage the separation gap. As I say, it's a little bit of give and take, but if we do everything slowly, take speed out of it in these very busy conditions, if you take speed out of the equation, you're far less likely to come to grief. Okay, so we're now approaching College Roundabout from the A36 out of Southampton. So the white building to the right there is the college, hence the name of the roundabout, and there's Salisbury Spire directly ahead of us. As you can see from the route board there, just behind the traffic light stanchions, it's a 2 exit, so a left and a right exit, and we intend to take the left exit. So we're positioned in the left-hand lane. We will check our mirrors and confirm that with a left-hand signal. What you'll notice on approach is this becomes a protected lane, so you've got the solid white line and no give-way lines. So in theory, we can drive straight on without stopping, which we have been able to do there, but it's obviously prudent to check that nobody is making a mistake and driving across that protected lane. Southampton direction, and we can just see the green marker board there, identifying that it's a 2-exit roundabout in addition to this approach road. So there's an exit to the left and an exit to the right, and our intention on this pass is to make a right turn. So centre mirror, right signal, shoulder check as we position into the right hand lane. In the speed phase now, and we're obviously coming to a halt. If you take this pause, just watching the motorcyclist coming through there, take this pause to have a look at the lanes here, and if you look off to the left at the moment, when I move the car forward, you'll see there's a very thick, solid, continuous white line, which indicates that the left-hand turn lane is a protected turn, and there are no give-way lines if you're turning left. So in theory, you can flow straight on there, round to the left without giving way, though clearly it would be prudent to check to the right and check that nobody is making a mistake there. Our intention, however, is to turn right, so we're continuing in the right-hand lane, and as we can see, traffic is quite heavy at the moment. So we're flowing on with a right-hand signal on. Not going to obstruct the carriageway because people are coming across from my right-hand side, so I've got to leave space for them to exit. Now, there's my gap to flow into. Now, normally you'd cancel your right-hand signal and put a left-hand signal on, but I'm just going to cancel it. I'm not putting a left-hand signal on yet because, as you can see, down my left-hand side is a protected lane, so I don't want to spook people into thinking I'm planning to make an imminent move into that left-hand lane. But now, as my gap opens, I will put a left-hand signal on, having checked my left-hand mirror, exit into lane 2, very actively now checking left mirror, left shoulder, signal, move the car back into lane 1. So we have now, just to orientate ourselves, we've got St Mark's Roundabout behind us, and we are now approaching College Roundabout. And our intention at College Roundabout is to take the first exit left, continuing on the A36 towards Southampton. So we've got a hazard warning there of an on-slip, so I'm checking my mirrors and scanning into, we've got a good view into the on-slip there, so we can see at the moment nobody's coming up the on-slip, but what we can see is that brake lights are coming on, suggesting queuing traffic. So those cars are spotters for us. We have a quick glance back into the on-slip as well with our left-hand mirror. So there's the sign. We want to be turning left A36, so we're already positioned correctly. We will now check our mirrors, reinforce that with a signal left. Actually going to cancel that signal because, as you can see, there's an entrance there to the college the car's just turned into, so that could be confusing. So holding on that signal. Three mirror scanning before we move the car again. Now we've cleared that left-hand turn, we will check our mirror, put a signal on. So we're starting to get a view to the right, but we don't want to become fixated on that view. The most important thing is we check that Mercedes in front, the white Mercedes clears before we start making our approach. There's our gap. Looking in the left-hand mirror as I make the turn, just checking for that cyclist finally, and then cancelling our signal. So we are approaching College Roundabout. And as we've said, we've positioned early, so local knowledge tells us that to go straight ahead as we want to, we need to be in this right-hand lane. So obviously normal roundabout convention would be that we would approach for a 12 o'clock exit, we would approach in the left-hand lane, but the left-hand turn here takes traffic through to Southampton, so it's a main arterial route, so that becomes a dedicated left-hand turn lane. Now, in fairness, we wouldn't have known any of that if we were new to the area. We haven't yet seen a sign that explained that to us. I can just see in the distance there the green route marker board. Now, that's still probably 500 yards away. Clearly, if you were out on a driving test and that was the route the examiner was wanting you to take, they would give you fair warning if traffic conditions were like they are today. But if we were navigating this route for ourselves, then hopefully our sat-nav will be telling us early enough of the lane we'd need to be in. Hopefully we get that notification before the tailback of the queue. If it doesn't, then obviously when we discover where we've got to be looking to make a safe change of lane. But that is why mirror checking is so crucial. If we had taken lane 1 and we're then trying to pull out from a queue of traffic, that is where motorcyclists get knocked off as they're legitimately filtering through the centre. So mirror and shoulder checks would be essential at that point. So from a signalling perspective here, obviously we signalled to move the car into the right-hand lane very early, but normally we'd be approaching a 12 o'clock exit in the left-hand lane, and convention there would dictate that we don't signal on approach and we put a breakaway signal on when we've passed the junction before we want to leave at. We're approaching this one in the right-hand lane, and so effectively we are going to be taking to the centre disc before then moving out to our lane. But as our intention is to go straight ahead, we won't signal right, which could confuse people into thinking we were going to go full circle around the disc. The other thing to note from the diagram which we'll put up on the screen of this college roundabout is there is a yellow box junction. So as I'm approaching the roundabout now, directly in front of me there's a yellow box junction, and it's there for days just like today when traffic is heavy. And you can see the cars that are merging from our right, who in theory have priority over me. It's to the yellow box junction. The purpose of that box junction is to hold them there if their exit is not clear. So if the A36 to Southampton is full, they should leave space for me to flow on. So I'm looking to the right now, seeing if any of these cars are stopping. And there's the yellow box junction. It's very badly faded. The paintwork is faded. So that car shouldn't really be stopping there at the moment. So confirming with eye contact with the driver to my right that he's letting me go. Checking the left mirror, left signal now, but have a good look. There's a protected solid white line here, which we've just got about space to get through, but we mustn't cross that line. Now I'm checking my centre mirror, left mirror. I've got a white van coming up my inside, so I'm holding my position, and then left mirror, left signal, move the car across.